And another warm welcome. Here we are again. Believe it or not, we're into the 9th video. So in the series so far, Learn Google Earth Studio with Mike Downs. We've covered these 8. You can pause this screen and have a little look. I'll put the link in the box. So today's one, we're starting off on the 9th of February, and I've called this Good to Know, the 3 guitars. And I will explain and take it slow, I think, because these are really the things that I wish I'd known that at the start, and I've gone to this slide set working towards harmony and agreement, and this is really in chapter 3 video 1, which is the philosophy section of what is it that you are actually trying to do with Google Earth Studio, and if you do get it right, how long can that go in the future where you are happy and you like what you actually produce. So if we look at the things that I wish I'd known at the very start, 3 words here: to be a composer, to be a conductor, and keep control over the whole thing, which I'm not going to lie, there was an awful lot of frustration at the start, because when I started to look at the viewport, the timeline and the attributes, I got no clue what I was doing, and I got so excited about using it, but I got tied up in knots very, very quickly, and I started to give up until it clicked into place. Hence me making a lot of these videos to help people, and that is for all ages, especially the young coming in to learn these skills early. So what you see on screen are the attributes on the left hand side, and I've labelled them just with these little dots from 1 to 11. Notice that each single frame that goes along builds into seconds, and that's why I put on the bottom right that we're dealing with 30 frames a second. The viewpoint, the camera at the top here, is set directly above Regent's Park in London and the bandstand, and I'll tell you why. Because when we look a lot closer, what we've actually got to compose, conduct and control in harmony is all of these different attributes to do with the camera positions, the targets, the rotations, the lens, the field of view, the time of the day, all these different things. And that's why this is a quite important building block to where we are going, which if you are working alone, you've got to develop a sense of teamwork within yourself. And that's why I've called it the 3 guitars. Here's Ingrid Michaelson in a trio, live at the Audiogrotto. I'll put the track in the link box, and this is why we are dealing with things that are working together, and I'll tell you why, because I'm going to demonstrate that visually. So we've got the track here, there's no audio for copyright reasons, it's a visual thing. So watch the hand on the guitar strings here, 1, 2 in the middle and 3 over here, and they start to play, and you can see that Ingrid is strumming away there, but the other 2 are not. And this is what I mean about the teamwork that's going on, that you've got to develop on this timeline. I put a bookmark here, and I'm just going to play it from about there and just watch what happens after a set piece in the song to demonstrate this teamwork. So they're strumming away, we keep going, and then it builds up into this. Look, fast, 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 stop. Did you spot it? I'm going to go back there again. Just watch what happens. Together, together, try and blur your eyes a bit and stop. Do it one more time here. Just see that where Ingrid comes down and just stops and literally taps a palm on her guitar, and that's what I'm getting at, is all 3 do this together. Just play it one more time. Stop. And what I'm getting at here is that if you look at this attribute teamwork, we can actually work together very, very much so. So the thing is that with teams and conducting, and remember this is just a general philosophy about Earth Studio and anything else you're trying to deal with. If you go to Regent's Park in London, here's a picture from Google Maps where there must be 2 dozen musicians and with a conductor working there. If you look a lot closer, you can see that they're all doing different things, and this is relying back to Earth Studio, where we can relay these ideas of real life to see what we can actually work with. And my tip of how I learnt is that there are many different teams. Choose one that works for you so you can split yourself up. Good example here, or one example that I particularly like, here's the Avro Lancaster, and it's a crew of 7. Pilot, flight engineer, nav, bomber, gunner, wireless operator. But what I'm trying to get to is each person in this particular aircraft, as it literally flies through the air, is doing a different job, just like on the timeline in Google Earth Studio. What I also like at the back here is you've got a Spitfire, which can be usually a single pilot, but it can have two. So in other words, this person alone must fly the aircraft, operate the guns, navigate, absolutely everything. Yet this is a different teamwork. And what I can also get to is, how do we actually physically do this? And when I say physically, it's a big tip here, because it is an awareness in your mind called spatial awareness. And that's why that if you look at something like this with small children, spatial awareness is the ability to be aware of oneself in space, organise knowledge, objects in relation to one another. You can pause this and read this. So therefore, it's the ability to see and understand two or more objects in relation to each other and to one's self. Especially where it says at the bottom, complex cognitive skill that children need to develop at an early age. If you do, then you'll drive a car when you're an adult, or a late teen to an adult, and you'll be able to look in the mirror here and instantly understand, pretty much when you're reversing, the distance between the back of your vehicle and the next vehicle. Now, that's not an easy skill, and that's why a lot of motor manufacturers have built in tons and tons of cameras and sensors. If you look at the side here, can you really know the distance between the vehicle behind and whether you can indicate and pull over? What I'm trying to get at is that spatial awareness can also be a game. Here's one here, and this morning with my first cup of coffee, I looked at this and thought, this is really easy for me because I've got a high level of spatial awareness, which I know I have. Yeah, I struggled, and I had to make this little thing on the right hand side to figure out that number 4 is the right answer, because at that early in the morning when I was waking up with my first cup of coffee, I couldn't do it. And I'm thinking, this is a direct skill that Earth Studio could actually work at, where you can come back and look at your camera, your attributes, and all the things that we're trying to build up in this series with learning Google Earth Studio, which means that you come up to this level where you have building 2, the attributes, viewport, and the timeline working in harmony. Messed that up, didn't I? Say it again. Working in harmony and agreement. An agreement. And if I had a penny or a cent for every time that I didn't work in agreement in this situation, I wish I could iron out those bumps in the road. Thankfully, I'm getting better, and that's why I feel capable now, and only now, of actually making these videos. So we've got the attributes dotted on the left, the viewport at the top, with a 3-pronged node here, an arrow, pointing down to say this is the timeline that we are looking to control in the future, starting right now. So let's get finished, and another one done on Learn Google Earth Studio with Mike Downs.